In this video, we will learn about good governance. So let's see about good governance. It is a very important topic, and it is a very important topic, and it is very important for the general studies paper 1. So mains paper 1. So general studies paper 1 for mains. So let's look at good governance. Let's look at what is good governance. So, good governance is the process of measuring how public institutions conduct public affairs and manage public resources and guarantee the realization of human rights in a manner essentially free of abuse and corruption and with due regard for the rule of law. So, good governance is the process, as we can see here, that the rule of law should be followed, there should be no abuse and corruption of power, and the humans should get their rights, the human rights should not be affected, and the public affairs and the public resources should be managed and conducted in such a way that it helps in the realization of human rights and guarantee of human rights. So, the public institutions should be made accountable, and the governance should be made transparent and accountable and reliable. There should be quality in governance and also responsibility. So this is what is good governance is. And so let's move on to the next slide. So now we will look at what is governance. So first, governance is the process of decision making and the process by which decisions are implemented or not implemented. So as we see that it is the process of decision making and implementation of decisions. So in our country, the executive is responsible for decision making processes, and for the legislation of laws, the legislature is responsible. For example, if we take the case of central government, the executive is the prime minister, the president and the ministers, as well as and the legislatures are the Lok Sabha, members of the Lok Sabha and the members of the Rajya Sabha. So these are very much, these people are very much important for governance. And in case of state, the executive is the chief minister and the governor, and the legislators or the law formers are the members of legislative assembly and members of legislative council if the state has a legislative council. If the state does not have the legislative council, then there are only the members of legislative assembly. So governance is the process of decision making and the process by which decisions are implemented or not implemented. So now, what are the characteristics of good governance? So now we'll look at the characteristics of good governance. So first characteristic of good governance is participation. The participation of all men and women and the people of the country or the state is very much necessary for good governance, because if there is no participation, then the voices of the people will not be heard. And if the voices of people are not heard, then the quality of governance is not measured, then people will not be happy with the governance, because their voices are not being heard and whatever they want is not being given to them. So all men and women should have a voice in decision making, either directly or through legitimate intermediate institutions that represent their interests. Such broad participation, the participation should be as broad as possible. Such broad participation is built on freedom of association and speech, as well as capacities to participate constructively. That's why we have free and fair elections in our country, and people choose their representatives which represent them in Lok Sabha as well as legislative assemblies. So that is why the direct participation of people as well as the indirect participation of people is very much necessary if we consider good governance. And as we know, our government is implementing the policy of Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas. So this is a very important policy, and it helps in improving the good governance in India. And also the development of all sections of the society, inclusivity in development, and also there is no marginalization of backward communities in this kind of Sabka Saath and Sabka Vikas governance. So now we will move on further. The second characteristic of good governance is rule of law. So legal framework should be fair and enforced impartially, particularly the laws of human rights. That is, the legal frameworks, which is the legal framework should be fair and enforced impartially. That is, the framework should be fair and it should be impartial towards all the person, and particularly the laws on human rights should be impartial, and rule of law should be followed. That is, everyone has to abide by the law, and no one is above the law, and everyone has to abide by the constitution and the law, and no one is above the law and the constitution. After that, there is transparency and accountability. So if the government is transparent, the process is transparent, and people can know about what the government is doing, the plans of the government, the policies of the government, and how they are being implemented. So transparency is built on the free flow of information. Processes, institutions, and information are directly accessible to those concerned with them, and enough information is provided to understand and monitor them. So processes, institutions, and information are directly accessible to those concerned with them, and enough information is provided to understand and monitor them. So government for each and every ministry, as well as for each and every department, government has a specific portal, and also there is the right to information through which a person can obtain whatever information he needs from the ministry or the department. Some kind of information which are restricted, or which should not be provided, which are confidential, is not provided by the government, but other informations are always provided. So now we'll look at the next point, that is responsiveness. In some cases we see that the government is making laws, and the people are not happy with the laws, or the people want to change something. They continuously want to interact with the government and help in the decision and law making process and suggest improvements, but the government is not responding to such requests. So this should not be the case in good governance. So the third point is responsiveness. Institutions and processes try to serve all stakeholders, and this is what responsiveness is, that all the stakeholders should be served. Then consensus orientation. Good governance mediates differing interests to reach a broad consensus on what is in the best interest of the group, and where possible on policies and procedures. So consensus oriented government is also very much important. That is, good governance mediates differing interests. The differing interests of different communal groups or different religions should be mediated, and a broad consensus should be reached on what is in the best interest of the group, and where possible on policies and procedures also. So the policies and procedures should be neutral and not in favor of one community or one religion or one individual. So this is what consensus orientation means, to be neutral and to mediate the differing interests of different people or groups. Then comes equity. All men and women having opportunities to improve or maintain their well-being. That is, all men and women should have opportunities and should try to improve or maintain their well-being. That is, equal opportunity should be provided to everyone. It should not be that someone is economically better off, then he is getting much better opportunities, and if someone is economically weak, then he is not getting those opportunities. There should be equal social, economic, as well as political equality for everyone. That is known as equity. And if needed, the government should take affirmative actions also, so that the marginalized communities, or the people who are very much poor, below the poverty line, or people who are from the SC/ST communities, or some people who are physically disabled, or who are having who are economically weak from their from birth. So they should get equal opportunity as others also, because if they don't get equal opportunity, they will not be able to rise and become an equal in the strata of the society. So if equality of opportunity means that the government aspires to build a classless society, that there should be no upper class, middle class, and lower class. After that, there is effectiveness and efficiency. Without effectiveness and efficiency, there is no point in getting a good. There is no point that the governance will be good. So processes and institutions, especially the government institutions, should produce results that meets need while making the best use of resources. That is, whatever resources which the government institutions and the departments and the ministries have, they should try to use these resources in the best possible manner, and they should make the best possible policies and implement these policies, so that there is the development of social, economic, and political development of the country. And also, the country should be able to stand as an economic and global power in the world, and it should maintain its sovereignty, and no other country shall be able to challenge its supremacy. So that is what is effectiveness and efficiency. If the government is not effective and efficient, then good governance is not possible. After that is accountability. decision makers in government, that the private sector and civil society organizations are accountable to the public as well as to the institutional stakeholders. So the decision makers which are in the government should be and also in the private sector, that is the corporate sector, should and civil society organizations also should be accountable to the public as well as to the institutional stakeholders also. So if they are responsible and accountable, then only good governance is possible, because the voices of the people will be heard and the leader or the decision makers which are running the institution will respond to their voices, and they will help these people in whatever the difficulties they are facing. Then we'll move on to the initiative for good governance in India. These are the initiatives that our government has implemented, so that the governance in India is very much good, and so that they are able to implement good governance in India, and the people should face less and less difficulty. So one of the most important is right to information. It is under RTI Act 2005. So it marks a significant shift in Indian democracy. It gives greater access of the citizens to the information, which in turn improves the responsiveness of the government to community needs. So this is all about RTI Act. If you file an RTI, right to information, whatever information you need will be given to you. There are some rules that if an information is not given by the information officer within certain number of days or within a certain period, then you can file a legal action, or you can request an officer which is at an upper post. So in all departments and government offices, there an information officer has been appointed who looks after these RTI right to information petitions or requests. So after that, there is the e-governance. E-governance is a very big step in digital India, in the implementation of Digital India program, because e-governance program and service is the era of newly emerging information and communication technologies, which herald new opportunities for rapid social and economical transformation worldwide. With e-governance, all the portals of the government, like everything which the government provides us, like from simple things like e-marketplace, where the goods and services can be sold and bought, to complicated things like the policies of the government which is being implemented by different ministries can be seen by the people, and it is all transparent. These are the services which help in the information and communication technologies, and which connect the people directly to the government and their ministries and departments, and herald new opportunities for rapid social and economic transformation worldwide. So for example, during the COVID times, the COVID portal helped millions of Indians to get vaccinated as well as to stay safe. So this is what e-governance is. And then we'll move on to the next slide. Then the third step is decentralization. These all are the initiatives for good governance in India. The third initiative is decentralization. Centralized Planning Commission was abolished, and replacing it with the think tank called the National Institute for Transforming India, that is Niti Aayog. Now it has a bottom-up approach which would usher in an era of cooperative federalism. It is based on Gandhian federalism, as well as more powers is being given to the state governments, the Panchayati Raj institutions and municipalities, and there is a bottom-up approach. They can always give their ideas, and the local governments and the state governments can provide ideas if they have good ideas, and if the central government will check these ideas and verify these ideas, and if it is of good benefit to the people of India and can benefit a large number of people and is feasible also, then it will be implemented by the central government. So this is known as devolution of powers and decentralization of powers to the lower ranks, like state government, the Panchayati Raj institutions, the municipalities, local governments, district area committees, then cantonments, as well as wards. So this is what decentralization is. This is the bottom up approach by the central government of India. Then after that, aspirational district programs. In case of aspirational district programs, it was launched in January 2018 to transform the lives of people in the underdeveloped areas. So some districts had been identified which are very much underdeveloped, and After 75 years of independence also, these districts are very much underdeveloped and don't have the basic facilities and amenities like pure drinking water, food, and the people are struck sanitation facilities, health facilities, and the people are struggling. So the lives of people in underdeveloped areas of the country in time bound manner. So these districts will be are come under the aspirational districts program, and they will be developed as an aspirational district, so that each and every district takes inspiration from them and follows their path as well as policies, and try to develop their districts also according to these aspirational districts. So they will be developed areas in the country in a time bound manner. After that, the government has launched the Good Governance Index. It was launched on the 25 December 2019 on the occasion of Good Governance Day. Good Governance Day is celebrated every year on 25 December, and this Good Governance Index was launched on 25 December 2019. So the Good Governance Index is a uniform tool across states to assess the status of governance and impact of various interventions taken up by the state government and union territories. So in this is an index in which various types of sectors, as well as the policies of the government, as well as the implementation of these policies by the government, and the provision of basic amenities to the people, and many other things, health, sanitation, public departments, institutions, as well as the executives, the legislatures, as well as the facilities provided by the people to the government, the cleanliness in the districts, in the state, and other developmental index like industrial index, job provision, as well as the development in case of environment like plantations, forest plantations, then national parks, protection of national parks, as well as marine ecosystems, and public health facilities, schools, education, sanitation. All these are taken, and an index is prepared in which the states are ranked from 1 to whatever there are 28 states and 8 union territories of India. So they all are ranked according to this index. And so this index is all this index impacts the various interventions taken up by the state government and union territories. So the states are assessed according to this index, and through this index we know which state is performing the best and which state is performing the worst, if we take the good governance in perspective. Now we'll look at the challenges to good governance. So first is criminalization of politics. So if there is criminalization of politics, then that means the use of money as well as muscle power in the politics in India. And if criminals are taking the seats in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, then there is a chance that good governance is not possible, because their mindset as well as the perspective of looking into the society it will not be up to the standard of a good person. They will not have that morality and ethics of a good person, as well as probity, so as well as honesty and many other things. Teamwork, leadership, these things will not be present if a person is of criminal mindset and is not of a sound mindset. So according to the Association of Democratic Reforms, 43% of members of parliaments of Lok Sabha 2019 are facing criminal charges. That is 2019, if we take account of 2019 Lok Sabha members, then 43% are facing criminal charges, and 26%, this is a 26% increase as compared to 2014. So this should be reduced, that people with criminal background should not be allowed to contest for elections in Lok Sabha, or there should be some criteria which should be defined by the government, so that these people are not able to acquire Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha seats. Because if these people are there, then I don't think the quality of governance can be improved in India, and good governance can be implemented. After that, there is corruption, which is a major problem in India. It is from the time immemorial, from the time of the British East India Company. So corruption is a major obstacle in improving the quality of governance. Corruption is there in each and every department, as well as each and every from the governance. If we go to the simple PDS system to take our ration through ration card, or if we go to the police station or any government institution or department, corruption is always and everywhere. I am not telling that everyone is corrupt, but still corruption has a major role to play in the underdevelopment of our country. So It is a major obstacle in improving the quality of governance. While human greed is obviously a driver of corruption, it is the structural incentives and poor enforcement system to punish the corrupt that have contributed to the rising curve of graft in India. That is, our judiciary is very much late, and that is the decisions which our judiciary gives is very much late, and always there is the decision is not very much strict in case of corruption. And this is why there are people with greed and corrupt practices are being followed till now. But government has taken many steps like digital India, then cashless economy, according to which the government, and digital rupee has also been introduced, according to which the government can track each and every transaction. And the corruption with e-rupees has also been introduced, and the corruption will be significantly reduced according to due to these provisions. So these provisions should always be enforced, and the system to punish the corrupt that have contributed to the rising curve of graft in India. Also, fast track courts should be set up so that to look into cases of corruption, and so that the corrupt people are punished as soon as possible, because justice delayed is justice denied. Then delay in justice, as we talked, a citizen has the right to avail timely justice, but there are several factors because that a common man doesn't get timely justice. So the factors include corruption, as well as the poverty, as well as lack of education. Then the person does not know what are the criminal procedure code or the civil procedure code or the Indian penal code, or he's not aware about his rights. Then these are the factors in delay in justice. So delay in justice should not be there, as justice delayed is justice denied. So government should provide provisions for people who are from very economically weak background so that government takes charge of these people and provides them with lawyers so that they can help them in during the cases which are being filed, so that they get timely justice. Then again, there is marginalization of socially and economically backward people. So the socially and economically backward section of the society have always been marginalized in the process of development. Although there are constitutional provisions for their upliftment, but in practice they are lagging behind in so many areas like education, economic well-being, etc. So this is not if marginalization is there, then good governance is not at all possible. So government should take affirmative actions. They should provide reservations or if the reservations cannot be provided to some people, then they should introduce government schemes for the upliftment of these people, so that they are not marginalized and they get equal opportunities as well as equity, and at least they are provided with basic minimum facilities and amenities. So now next, the effective functioning of why is good governance important? So this is a very important point, that why is good governance important. So the effective functioning of governance is the prime concern of every citizen of the country, because our governance system was established by the Britishers, and it was established in such an era that Britishers wanted to keep everything under their control, and they did not want to give any rights to Indians, and so they made the procedure very complex. But now also the same procedure is being followed. So we need to simplify and amend these procedures so that people don't face difficulties in interacting with the government, or in having equality of opportunity or equity, or doing whatever, having freedom and liberty to do whatever they want. The procedures for doing this should not be very complex. Like if a person wants to establish the business, he has to take many licenses. So according to ease of doing business in India has been ranked low. So this should not be the case, and there should be a single window where all the licenses are provided and the person is able to start his or her business in a very timely manner. So the effective functioning of governance is the prime concern of every citizen of the country. The citizens are ready to pay the price for good services offered by the state, but what is required is a transparent, accountable and intelligible governance system, absolutely free from bias and prejudices. India should also focus on developing probity in governance, which will make the governance more ethical. Probity is that the government is honest as well as accountable, and it has strong moral ethics, so it does not discriminate in favor of anything. So this is why good governance is important for the country as well as the people. Government of India has taken many steps to provide good governance to the people, but still a lot has to be done. So this is all about good governance, and I will see you in the next video.